Hello friends, Adam here with FED. So I always ask in my Discord server for tier list ideas, and one that I see often and one that I'm finally going to do today is Fire Emblem final bosses. And as you see, I have a alignment chart here rather than having just a straight up tier list. I liked the alignment chart for this one as well. I won't always do this. I will go back to doing like more traditional tier list looking things for people who prefer that. But here I like this here because there's definitely some different aspects to bosses in Fire Emblem. Some that are just really easy, but I still like them a lot, so I'd have a hard time tiering them. I don't know. I personally like a challenge in my final boss, but it's also doesn't mean I can't like them if they aren't necessarily the strongest final boss you ever fight, right? And same goes the other way. I might really dislike a boss that I think is hard and actually a good challenge. So I want to be fair that way and share both opinions and put them both on here. So we're going to start from the beginning. As far as remakes go, I'm not going to be talking about like FE1 and FE10, or and FE11. So I'm not going to talk about Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. I'm not going to talk about Mystery of the Emblem and New Mystery of the Emblem. Just one of each. And honestly, I'm just going to kind of combine them because to me the final bosses are pretty similar, and I think that's good enough for me. Alright, so first we have the original. The boss here is Medius. Medius, he isn't very present throughout the story, which I kind of dislike, if I'm being honest. But he was like the first one, and it was an NES game originally, so like I understand why he wasn't as omnipresent as some other bosses are. So I'm gonna put I like him for being the big menacing bad guy, but I feel like Garnif was almost just like a better antagonist than he was for the most part. But as far as but then again, I do like him because he's like, I don't know, it's the first one. I don't know, it's hard for me to dislike him. And as far as difficulty goes, if we're talking like the first game, he's like stupid weak, but if we talk like Shadow Dragon Hard 5, the hardest he could possibly be, he's pretty difficult. So I'm gonna, honestly, I think I'm gonna put Medius like dead center, because it really just depends on the source material. As far as difficulty goes, I'm just gonna put him right there. I feel like he is your baseline boss, final boss. I think he's okay. All right, now we have Douma. FE2/FE15, so Fire Emblem Gaiden and Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia Douma. I'm only going to do one of them, I think. I might do both, actually, because these are different enough to me. No, we'll just do one. So, as far as difficulty goes, I think the final map is annoying because of all the moguls that are spammed. You know, there's like, they like multiply and reproduce, and then they also are summoned and stuff. It's just a pain. There's tons of just enemy monsters on the map. I almost think that Douma is less threatening than Jeddah, who's on the same map, or Judah, depending on the translation you're playing. So I think I don't like Douma at all. He's like, as far as bosses go, I think as far as like character and stuff, he's like whatever, and he's kind of gross looking. He looks like a big booger, which is kind of funny because it fits because he's like supposed to be this decaying dragon, you know, like he's kind of going insane. So I kind of get it. And as far as difficulty goes, I think he's pretty, I think he's harder than Medius just for the fact that you have to kill him with like Alm, you know? And I don't know if the game especially in Gaiden, I don't think the game explicitly tells you that. It might. I'm pretty sure in Echoes it does. I'm gonna do put him like just above. I don't like Douma at all. He's kind of lame, and his final map is, aside from the music, it's getting really annoying. So we're going to do this for now. We're going to put him right here. And honestly, a lot of these older bosses, my opinion isn't as strong as it is on some of the newer ones when we get to them. Alright, now we have Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem / Fire Emblem New Mystery of the Emblem, Heroes of Light and Shadow, Medius. So definitely tougher because he wants to munch. Reminds me, it's funny because it's like the same thing as like Tearing Saga, if you watched me play through that forever ago. There's these priest characters that he wants to munch to get HP back and stuff, right? And you either have to kill them or recruit them. If you don't have the right characters to recruit them, you have to kill them, which is kind of sad. I think he's definitely more difficult than the Medius and Douma previously. This Medius is definitely tougher. And I like the concept of this boss fight a lot more. I think it's the first time Fire Emblem tried actually being creative with their final boss. Rather than being just like this big scary guy you had to fight at the end, you had Medius, there's actually like some more gameplay involved in just throwing your strongest units at him, right? Like throw your strongest unit at them, then heal them so they don't die on enemy phase, and then rinse and repeat, right? Rather, there's this extra element of having to save the priestesses, and I like that. I like that a lot. So I like him as a boss quite a bit. And I think he is more difficult, but I'll put him like right here. Cool. Okay, FE4, we have Julius, and sorry, this is his hero's portrait, because I don't know, it's the one I found first, and it worked well, fit the little bubble well. So here is Julius. He is the final boss of Genealogy of the Holy War. He is actually like the reincarnated super evil dragon of like Loptus or whatever, and his magic weapon, his tome, negates 50% of damage from enemies, and he already has like stupid high defense and resistance, so he's not going to be taking a whole lot of damage from anyone, except he has a hard counter that is like built into the game, and it's not required, but it's like really close to required. I'm trying to think, because like, should I count that re-recruiting Julia, who can use the tome that like destroys him? Is re-recruiting Julia hard, difficult? And if it is difficult, does that count into how difficult Julius is as a boss? And I'm gonna say yeah. I think it's kind of similar to Douma, where you need to use a certain character to kill him, essentially. But it's a little harder because it's like you have to recruit him instead of it being just Alm. You have to like recruit Julia, who wants to come kill you, but you can't kill her. Again, you can still do it. You can still kill Julius. It's just not as easy, or just takes longer without Julia. So I don't know. I'm assuming you guys have played FE4 if you're watching this, at least know somewhat of the final chapter, or watch someone else play it. So I'm not going to go into it too deep. But I think just because of recruiting Julia, that's this. And I find Julius really annoying. So for him, it's not even that he's not present in the story, or he doesn't like. It's not just like this last second he appears and I'm the villain kind of thing. I just don't like him. I don't know. His character bothers me. I'm actually gonna put Douma above him. Julius annoys me. I'm gonna say that. Put him like right there as far as difficulty goes. All right, FE5. We have Birdo or Veld or whatever they call him now. I believe the old translation was Birdo, and now it's Veld, which definitely fits him better than Birdo. He's not the bird he's not the weird pink thing from Super Mario Brothers 2. Veld is a joke as far as bosses go. He's a joke. You just nuke him with Sed or some other really strong unit. Total joke. And I actually really dislike him. So I think he's one of the worst final bosses in the series. I think he might be the worst final boss in the series. He resents little to no challenge. The final map is difficult, don't get me wrong, especially if you're not prepared for it. But Veld himself is just disgustingly weak. He's just not even an issue. He is a non-issue of a unit to me. And he only does like one or two things in the story that make you think, oh, I really want to take this guy out. In my opinion, Raedric should have been the final boss. I think it's kind of cute that they make Raedric one of the Dead Lords after he dies. Like, that's a cute thing they do. But I feel like they used Raedric to, I don't know, story-wise, it would have been more satisfying for him to be the last guy you kill, and maybe have Birdo be like a Garneth kind of character who gets who you take out, maybe a couple chapters before endgame, and maybe that's how you would have gotten the Kia staff or something. I don't know, stuff like that. It's a lot more interesting to me. Yeah, I think Veld is pretty lame. Pretty lame. All right, FE6, we got Idun. I considered putting Zephiel on the list, but since he's not like the true final boss, I'm not going to. Another one that's just like stupid easy. Base Roy destroys her. and to fight against Idun, you have to have the Binding Blade. So you have the Binding Blade no matter what. Base Roy is just stupid, just like destroys her. And you have all these dragon affected weapons, and she just isn't that threatening. It feels more like a story chapter than it is like a challenging gameplay thing. As far as my like for her, I think she's a interesting character. I like her quite a bit. I don't think I like her more than Medius there. I think she's really interesting, that she's like essentially been manipulated and into producing these like, honestly, they're like these monstrosities of fire dragons. Like they aren't like people, they're like just living weapons, which is really sad. I think it's kind of a sad, touching story thing. So my story, like if it weren't for the story stuff, she'd be like super down low, you know. But she has some cute stories. She has some story things that I think are nice. And the fact that you can spare her with Roy is actually kind of cute. Alright. FE7. It's literally just a dragon. You fight a bunch of dragons in FE6, so it's honestly a big letdown to me. They should have just left it at Nurgle, in my opinion. No need to do the dragon. But so I really dislike this dragon. And as far as difficulty goes, honestly, it's a pretty difficult final boss. They made the dragon pretty buff. But I think the dragon's lame. I don't have much else to say to that than that. So, sorry, I keep adding things that I realize I like. I like Julius more than lame Fire Dragon person, but I think the Fire Dragon, honestly, is probably harder than these other guys. So, which is funny. Alright, for Matisse, or however you say his name, the big scary guy at the end of Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. You have tons of weaponry that just is effective against him, and you have probably have some bishops and stuff that have Slayer, so they're also effective against him. For Matisse is pretty easy. I don't think he's as easy as like Birdo, sorry, Veld, or Idun. But I'll put him like down here somewhere. And my dislike for him, I don't know. I like that he's built up throughout the story a bit. You know, you can kind of see his personality coming through, or see him like taking over Leon, or Lion, however you say his name, over time. I kind of like that. I'm gonna put him like right there. FE9, Path of Radiance. We have Ashnard. Ashnard is, if you're playing on hard mode, if you're playing on normal mode or easy mode, he's like, honestly, he's pretty easy. It's just like, he's not the easiest. He's probably like I would say he's like similar to like Medius in like FE3 Book 1 or Shadow Dragon on a lower difficulty. But on hard mode, I think he's actually really cool. So on like turn 6 or 7, or maybe turn 8, if you aren't too Ashnard and fighting him already, or if he'll start charging at you, which I think is such a cool thing that a lot of final bosses don't do. So he'll actually just start running at you to murder you. It's terrifying and awesome all at the same time. So I think he is harder than these other ones. The fact that only I can deal damage to him, as well as Nasir or Ina, and then the Laguz Royal that you have join you, is also makes him more difficult, of course. I think... and then he has a second form where he transforms, but even that isn't that bad. And you can cheese him pretty hard with like Wrath Resolve Ike. So it's hard to say that he's like actually that difficult, but if you go into a blind, he is really difficult. I don't know. I think he's the hardest one we've talked about so far, and I really like him. I think he's really cool. Very present throughout the story, and also the fact that he will actually charge at you is sick. Need more of that. More of that in Fire Emblem. Alright, Ashara, FE10. Radiant Dawn. She's kind of like a last-minute villain to me. I mean, the medallion's always hinted at as being this thing that like will upset the goddess if it's awoken or something, and that there's a dark god in there, and then Ashara is the one that... But then, like, the whole story behind Ashara sealing Yune and splitting herself is interesting and all. But... I have a hard time putting her in, like, high on the like. I like her more... I think if she wasn't such like an Act 3 villain, you know, like a very end of the thing villain, end of the game villain, I think I'd like her a lot more. And it almost would have been more interesting if like Sephiroth was present in the final chapter. I mean, final map of the final chapter, like had him be present helping her or something. I think I'd almost like her more, because I feel like Saffron or Leiron played a larger part, especially in the story up to that point. Even in the tower, Leiron's kind of like the main antagonist, the main character almost. So I think I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna say I like her, but the more I think about it, the more I dislike her like last minute inclusion. And then it's literally like it took Radiant Dawn from being this really cool conflict between countries that is like, you know, really more like morally gray to an extent, and people are being forced to do things they don't want to win, or they're being forced to do things because if they don't, their people will be killed because of like blood contracts and stuff. I know people hate the blood contracts, but it's still made for an interesting story nonetheless. As far as difficulty goes, I think she's the hardest one so far. She's up there as probably one of the harder final bosses, and I like her for that because the boss. Okay, so story wise, I dislike her, but like gameplay wise, I think she's super cool. I think that's enough for me to put her like right there. Gameplay wise, I think she is one of the cooler final bosses in the series, with the different auras, and they're all on different tiles. So there's like some that are on the tiles that give plus 10 resistance. There's some that are on the tiles that give like plus 10 defense, which is really makes you really think about who you want to attack with. And then you're given really cool tools in Nasir and Gareth and Ina to boost your attack power and your speed to be able to deal more damage like quickly, which is like really important to kill her quickly because she has all of these map-wide attacks that like she cycles through these map-wide attacks that will like one will inflict silence on all your units, one will stun. It doesn't. I don't think stun. Like, but it'll inflict silence on your units. There's one that deals magic damage to like all your units. There's one that deals physical damage to all your units. There's one that deals magic damage to just one unit. And there's all these different attacks, and this pattern is really, really fun to deal with. So I really, all right. I really like Ashara. I really like Ashara as a gameplay. Story wise, not my fave, but yeah, I think she's definitely the hardest we've talked about so far. All right, Awakening. We have Grima, who I forgot to put. Oh no, there it is. There it is, Grima. I was like, did I forget to put Grima on here? No, there's Grima from Fire Emblem Awakening. I think Grima is really trivial. I think similar to like Matisse, just like really easy. I'm gonna say Matisse is a little easier though. The hardest thing about Grima is just there's just surrounded by tons of enemies, right? And so Awakening has this problem where it has this like 3-act story, and then in those 3 acts, there's like 3 acts inside of those. It's just this really weird disjointed thing where it's like the first third of the game is a smaller, it's not even small scale, it's still like countries warring against each other, and like, you know, queens and kings being killed and stuff. It's still a big deal. But then it starts off as like just this little, you know, country versus country war. Then it turns into this continent, you know, 2 continents fighting each other kind of thing. And then it turns into this whole world battle where you have to save the world from Grima. It's just this whole thing. It feels really disjointed, and I almost wish they would have spent more, like gotten rid of like maybe Walhart, got rid of Walmart, and just went straight to Grima. Because I think the Plagia arc has a lot more to do with Grima than Walhart does. I know during the Walhart arc is when you can recruit Tiki, which is obviously, and there's the whole thing on the military, but I think Walhart is, I don't know, I just felt ancillary. Didn't feel important. I feel like they just included Valm to say, hey look, we remember Gaiden, guys. Like, freaking we know you. Like, we don't need you to remind us that Gaiden existed. I played it, dang it, shut up. So again, I don't think he's like super difficult, probably like right here actually. And I really just, here's the thing, I would like Grima if it was more of a focus, and Echoes maybe like Grima a little more. We'll put him like right here with Douma. Kind of like your last act villain. It's a really big problem with them. But gameplay wise, I dislike them a lot too. I don't know, we'll be like right there. Okay, now we have the 3 different routes of fates. We'll start with Conquest. And we have Betrayal himself. We have Fallen Takumi, where I think this is called Betrayal. Actually, probably the hardest. What I don't know. It's because the map is really hard, but the boss himself isn't that difficult, right? I don't think it's any more difficult than like Ashnard, as far as the boss actually goes. But it also has like the wave attack. You know, that, like you have to like hide behind pillars and stuff to not take damage throughout the map, which is interesting. I'll put him like right here for difficulty, I think. But I don't think he is. He is built up throughout the story, so that's kind of cool. I do like that Takumi is a very present enemy, and it's obvious that he's like losing his mind throughout the story. So it's not like he just all of a sudden is like snaps and loses his head. But I also feel like they kind of cheapen the experience by being like, oh, he's possessed. The only way you'll hate Korn is if you're possessed, right? So I don't like that very much. I'm gonna put him like slightly, like right there. I'll do Birthright, and I just have a picture of Garen. I don't have a picture of Garen in his dragon form, so we just have Garen. Honestly, I feel like I one-turned it on my first try using just like rescue skipping. It's hard for me to I don't really remember this battle much. Birthright's probably my least played Fates route, so I have a hard time saying where I want to put him. I don't think he is any less difficult than Medius. I think he's probably a little more difficult than Medius for sure, on average. But I dislike Garen. I just dislike Garen as a villain entirely, so I'm just gonna do that. Alright, Anoncos. Anoncos is actually a really cool boss concept. I think it is pretty difficult. Similar to like Ashara, there's like just multiple things you have to attack. You have to attack the hands, and then like his face falls, and you can attack his face to kill him. And I think that is a really cool concept. I really like Anoncos as a final boss. As an enemy, I'm like, who the freaking? I don't even know. I feel like I barely know anything about this guy, so I'm gonna put him all the way down there. I don't like him necessarily. But as a final boss, he's difficult. So if it was just on personality and story, I'd put him down here. But otherwise, I'm gonna put him a lot higher, just because it's actually a really cool fight. All right, we already did Douma, and I think my thoughts on Douma are basically the same. So we'll keep FE2 Douma the same for FE15 Douma. Now we're going to move on to 3 houses. Let's start with Blue Lion's route. So Azure Moon, we got Edelgard, Hegemon Edelgard. She isn't difficult, in my opinion. You just have to get to her and kill her. I don't think she's that difficult though. The difficult thing about her map, I don't know. She does have like the super long range attacks though, which are annoying to deal with, and it can snipe your weaker units. Okay, so I'll say that. I think just because of that, she's definitely a little more difficult. And I like Edelgard as a villain a lot, and I just like her being like a hegemon or whatever, like the hegemon Edelgard. She like sells her soul essentially to the devil, you know, kind of thing. And I don't know, it's just like shows what desperate lengths she'll go to accomplish her goals, and I like it. I think she's a really cool character. I think Edelgard gets slept on as a character. There's a lot of hate for her. I think she's pretty cool. All right, let's do Golden Deer next. So one thing I'll say, Nemesis is one of my favorite concepts for a final boss in all of Fire Emblem. The idea that he has these like 10 allies that are just buffing him super hard, and you have to kill them before you can kill him, essentially. Like, you don't have to, but it just makes it easier. I think that's just the coolest concept for a final boss in Fire Emblem so far. Really cool. And as far as difficulty goes, even once he loses all the stuff on Maddening, he's actually pretty difficult. I think he's like similar to like an Ashnard. Once you actually have to fight him, but with the buffs and stuff, he's like stupid hard, right? I'm gonna put him like right here. I think with like a Ashara level, maybe like a little buff Ashara. I think he is pretty difficult. Just because you have to kill all the already tough enemies too. So I think he's actually a really cool final boss. Again, probably the coolest one in the series. All right, Crimson Flower. We have the Immaculate one, who is just Rhea on roids and no dragon. I dislike. I'm just kidding. I'm not a big fan of Rhea, if I'm being honest. And I don't like her boss fight. I think like she has like Miracle and stuff, which is just stupid. Actually, does Crimson Flower Rhea have Miracle? Let me know in the comments. Pretty sure she does. I hate Miracle as a skill. It's just annoying. I will say she is pretty difficult though. She has some like long range stuff. She's definitely more difficult than these like enemies. Like she's like up here, sure, with like Takumi, difficulty wise. But I don't like her. I don't know. Monsters in 3 houses are kind of annoying, especially ones that have like 3x3 squares of like the gold tiles, like the guard tiles, their shields. Really annoying to deal with. Not my favorite. Now for Silver Snow. I couldn't find a good picture of the Silver Snow final boss. You know, like Rhea when she's all like red and angry. So I have just a picture of Rhea. Basically, I dislike her even more. I think, just because she's like just out of nowhere, but she's still pretty difficult. So I get it. And she has the whole added thing with like you have to kill her dragon friends, right, or the healer or whatever. So I get it. So we'll like put like right here. I think she's she's probably like as hard as Nemesis, if not a little more. All right, and now we have Alfard from Cindered Shadows. I don't know. I've only played through Cindered Shadows once in total on the hardest difficulty, right? I don't think he's that difficult. I've heard a lot of people had a lot of trouble with him. They said that he was self-healing a lot and stuff and whatever else. I didn't really have an issue with it, so maybe I'm just bad. I don't know. His motivations are kind of creepy, but also like, alright, I get it. He's like Severus Snape, except was willing to do like some really shady, creepy stuff to get the girl he liked. So, I kind of like that. But yeah, that's kind of what I think. Oh wow, I'm honestly surprised by the spread here. I thought I'd have a lot more on the easier side than I do. But putting Medius like right in the middle was probably what did it. If I were to redo everything, I might put like Douma as like my middle for difficulty, and or maybe even just like the Fire Dragon is my middle for difficulty, and move everything accordingly. But for now, I'm gonna leave it like this. So yeah, that's what I think. Let me know in the comments what you think. I don't know. This is just kind of me throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what's sticking here. I haven't played a lot of some of these Fire Emblem games in quite a while, so maybe my opinions on the final boss is skewed in some way or another. But this is just kind of my my recollection. So make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Please click the little thumbs up. It means a lot to me. I live and thrive off of the dopamine high that I see when I see the like number go up, you know. And also please subscribe if you haven't. We stream and stuff. We're playing 3 houses on Maddening as an Iron Man right now on the channel, which is pretty fun and difficult and annoying and cool and fun and awful all at the same time. And also we just post stuff almost every day about Fire Emblem. I love Fire Emblem, so yeah. Alright, thanks for watching guys. I'll catch you next time.